afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike O'Connor along with Mike Hedin, and we're here for the 2A football championship of the state of Iowa. Mike, we have a couple of football teams, certainly with contrasting ways they like to move that football.
First of all, Sibley goes through the air. Quarterback Dan Zank, his favorite target is split end number 84, that's John Krogman. And on the other side for LaSalle, only one man we have to watch basically in offense. That's number 48, Bill Thompson, who just tore apart Roland Story last week in the semifinals.
And it's going to be interesting, of course. Sibley, they've been here before. They've been a champion before. For Cedar Rapids LaSalle, that's a school that is rich in tradition, and certainly they've done a fine job, and I'm looking forward to this football game.
It should be a good game, especially the way the teams move. It'll be to see if LaSalle can stop the passing game of Sibley, and to see vice versa if Sibley can stop Bill Thompson from running out of that beer offense.
And as you said, nothing fancy. There won't be any surprises coming out of LaSalle.
Not in this game. Straight football.
I think you learned from Sibley. They throw sometimes as many as 40 times a ball game.
About 40 times, as we said, the big man that they like to throw to is Krogan. They'll throw to keep it off balance. They'll throw it to Glenn Heinrichs, a tight end, or to the flanker, and they'll run once in a while just to keep the passing game honest.
Sibley's quarterback, Dan Zank, we understand, has thrown for over 1,400 yards this season in the regular season, and his pass completion, 55%.
It's going to be tough to stop him.
Those are credentials that a lot of coaches would like to have, Mike. So the 2A championship, we're just moments away from that football game, and we'll be back with a kickoff right after this.
Iowa head coach.
We are ready for championship football. The 2A title on the line this afternoon at the Unidome here in Cedar Falls. LaSalle won the toss, elected to receive. So the kicking team for the Sibley Generals now out on the field. Their kickoff man will be number 57, Dave Welch. And as we look at LaSalle as they prepare to receive, their deep receivers will be Derek Lewis and Randy Dvorak. And Mike, as we mentioned right off the bat, we're going to get a look at Cedar Rapids LaSalle. And as you said, if our information is correct, we'll keep an eye on number 48, the fine running back for the Lancers, Bill Thompson.
We'll have to. I saw them play last week against Roland Story in the semifinals, and he had about 230 yards rushing. He had 320-some yards total offense.
And there's the kicking team for the Generals, and that's Dave Welch that's got the ball on the tee. And the whistle sounds, and this football game is ready to begin. This is the 2A championship game. And we're underway. Ball taken at the 25-yard line. And the return man fell at the 31-yard line, back at the 32. Tripped up. There's no help from the opponent, and it's 1st and 10. Derek Lewis was the man who got the opening kickoff. As the defense sets for Sibley. 1st down and 10. Just underway here in the 2A title game. Split receiver goes wide to the left, and here it goes. That's Thompson. Gets himself a couple on the play as he goes into that right side of the Sibley line.
Looks like it'll be about 1 yard on the play, Mike. They stacked up that line of scrimmage pretty easily that time, and Thompson got absolutely nothing, about 1.5 yards at the most, maybe 2.
2nd down play. Ball at the 32-yard line. Split receiver again to the left. And here's the gainer and the quarterback on the keeper. Fake to Thompson that time. Good pickup. Gets the 1st down out to the 44-yard line.
That time the quarterback, his name is Mark Steffen, decided to keep it on the option play, cut it up on the far side of the field, and worked his way through enough yardage for the 1st down. Picked up about 9 yards on the play.
That's the first and 10 of this football game as we're just underway. 11 minutes remaining to play in this opening quarter. Each time they've sent the split receiver wide to the left side. Once again, Steffen, whether that was a broken play, I'm not sure, Mike, but it didn't work.
That time it did, and coming in there to make the tackle that time was the inside linebacker, that's Mike McCarty, and he just stacked Steffen up at the line of scrimmage, nowhere to go.
There was a loss of 1 on that play, so it'll bring up 2nd down and 11 as we mark that football at the LaSalle 43-yard line. LaSalle coming into this football game overall with 9 wins and 2 losses. This is Thompson. Big line from Sibley, doing a good job in there. Tackle made by Kevin Willis. He's a 6'1", 190-pound senior. He's over in that defensive left end position.
If this keeps up, Mike, it looks as though LaSalle might have to break away from their game plan and maybe go to the air this afternoon.
We'll see right now. It certainly would be what you would think a passing situation at the 45-yard line. 3rd down and 9. Ken Hartman, the center, over the football. Oh, they didn't go away from that change run.
Gave it to Thompson. He picked up only 2 yards. It's an obvious punting situation right now for the Lancers. I was really surprised that they didn't throw it. They had the double flanker out to the far side.
We've got it 4th down and 7. So Jim Stevenson will be called upon to punt. And dropping back in twin safety will be Husinger and Doug Block. Gets off a low line drive. Bounding. Takes a LaSalle bounce to about the 21 where it's blowing dead.
Now we'll get to see the passing game of the Generals to see if LaSalle can stop it. Obviously, Sibley has been successful in stopping Bill Thompson and the Lancer running game on the first series of downs. We'll see now if LaSalle can counter and stop the passing game and force Sibley to go into a running game.
Dan Zink, the quarterback, wears number 15. He's a good-sized young man at 6'3", 190 pounds. He's got double flankers out to the left. Puts a man in motion. And here we go. Out into the flat. A good defense by LaSalle as Mike McCarty. He saw that play coming, and there'll be a loss on that play.
Okay, here comes Zink. He's back to pass. McCarty's wide open on the flat. The linebacker comes up there and stuffs it in, and that's number 23 is the rover, Mike Young for LaSalle. Nice play by Young.
The ball back at the 17-yard line. We have it 2nd down and 13 for the Sibley Generals. Again, they split the receivers to the left. Fake the throw left. He's going to roll right, and the pass is incomplete.
That one, Mike, was intended for their tight end. That's Glenn Henrik. He's over on the far side of the field most of the time. Lined up to the right side, and he's basically their secondary receiver. They like to go to Krogan a lot. So far in the first 2 plays, they haven't looked for Krogan at all.
3rd down and 13. We have no score in the football game with 8.5 minutes remaining to play in this first quarter. Generals breaking the huddle. Now they're going to send a receiver wide left and another one wide right, so they've really got the offense spread now. And into motion goes Husinger. Zink wants to throw it. Going deep. One-on-one, and it is caught. That was an alley-oop type pass out to midfield.
Looked like a Roger Staubach to Drew Pearson, Hail Mary. He just threw that one up for grabs. He got a heavy rush coming in. Here comes Zink back to pass. He pumps once. He's getting a heavy rush from the left defensive end. That's Tom Mohead. He just throws it up for grabs. And Husinger makes a nice leaping catch, steps right in front of the defender. 1st and 10 at midfield for the Sibley Generals.
Again, receiver is wide left and wide right. 2 setbacks. And again, Husinger goes in motion. Pick up good yardage that time on the 1st down play. A gain of about 9 to the 41-yard line. So the Generals offensively are moving.
Here we go. It's just a pitch out to Brian Brody. He's the halfback. He's reserved, just came into the game. And Brody did some nice running on his own, and they keep the passing game honest by throwing in that run once in a while. He picked up 8 yards on the play.
2nd down and 2. Well, certainly Coach Dan Melbrecht hasn't surprised us in any way. When he said he was going to throw this afternoon, he meant it. Now he'll get the 2 yards. They go right up the middle. And the ball carrier for Sibley, that's Brian Brody, as Mike mentioned, just new into the lineup.
He came in place of Mike McCarty. I don't know if McCarty's hurt or what, but once again, it's basically the same type of play, except going to the left side this time. Nice blocking up front by the linemen, and a nice gain. 1st down easily for the Sibley Generals.
Generals started this drive deep in their own territory at about the 17. They now have the football at the LaSalle 34-yard line. That was their 2nd 1st down, thanks to a very nice long pass play just moments ago. Here's the pitch out. Sweeping to the outside. That's Husinger. Gets some yardage before he is forced out of bounds.
Pick up about 4 yards on that play, Mike. It's just a basic sweep to the right side, and that's what you need. Pick up 4 or 5 yards of crack, and they can keep this running game going. They won't have to throw.
Second down and 6. This is a drive, as we mentioned, started back at about the 17 as we checked that Sibley sideline. 6:57 remaining to play here in this opening quarter. We have no score, but Sibley trying to put some points on the board in this drive. Out tackle play. And that's Brian Brody, the ball carrier. Got one, maybe two. Stacked up in there on the bottom of the pile. Jeff Heineck and Todd Wessels there for LaSalle. It'll bring up third down and 5.
What's going to happen is LaSalle can't over-penetrate trying to look for the pass because Sibley runs an honest game. They mix it up pretty good.
John Krugman has split wide to the right side. And again, Huizinga goes into motion. Here's Zank back to throw. He's under pressure. Goes out of the pocket. Incomplete. Nice defense that time. A last-second deflection.
That was Mike Young. He's the rover back or monster back, whatever you want to call him, in that the secondary. There goes Zank. He's going back to pass. Get some good blocking. A heavy rush coming in there by Pat Loeffler. But Zank gets the ball, floats it away, and there's Young, the rover, just gets his fingertips on the ball, knocks it out of bounds.
Brings up fourth down and 5, but they are in 4-down territory at the LaSalle 29-yard line. 2 setbacks. Split receivers left and right, and it's right up the middle. I don't believe he got there. He needed to get down to the 24, and he stopped at about the 26. Tackle was made in there by Dave Huizinga.
Dave Huizinga was the ball carrier. Tackle in there was made by the defensive end. That was Paul Phillip. I was surprised. I was looking for him. They haven't thrown to Krogan all afternoon, Mike, and I was looking for them to go to Krogan on this crucial 4th down play, since he is their main receiver.
LaSalle is able to snuff out that general drive, so we remain in a scoreless tie. Here comes Steffen, rolling left to the outside, and good yardage. Out over the 37 to about the 38-yard line.
Mark Steffen is a pretty good rollout quarterback. It was rollout all the way, didn't even fake the handoff. Get some good blocking by Bill Thompson. Thompson is not only a good running fullback, but he's an excellent blocking fullback as well. Just enough for the first down.
First down, the second 1st and 10 of the afternoon for LaSalle. Got both ends in tight. There's the fake to Thompson, and this is the quarterback. Steffen keeps it on the option, so they're using Thompson as a decoy that time. And a good pickup, good enough for a first down. That's 3 first downs for Cedar Rapids LaSalle.
It's sort of a combination of the belly series and the option play. Sticks the ball into the belly of Thompson, fakes the handoff, and Thompson covered up good. Nice fake, and that allows Thompson also to throw the block and open up the hole for Steffen to run it up the middle.
Ball at the 49-yard line. Receiver wide right. Here's Steffen once again.
Oh, they smelled it out that time, Mike. The front of that defensive line for Sibley was in the inside linebacker. Mike McCarty was there along with Kevin Ahman.
Second down and 7. Ball in Sibley territory at the 48-yard line. No score. 4:55 remaining to play in the first quarter. This is the 2A championship game. Receiver comes out wide right now. Here's the give up the middle. This is Derek Lewis. Gets his first call this afternoon, and he's to the 45-yard line.
Just a straight dive play up the middle. Kind of like a counter. Lewis takes it right up the middle. He picks up 5 on the play.
Third down and 4 now for the Lancers. In receiver wide right, I formation. Steffen's going to the air. Oh, incomplete, almost. Let's take a look at that one again, Mike.
Okay, Steffen rolls out to his right side, unloads the pass. Good coverage there by Sibley. The pass was intended for, that was number 94, Brian Chisel, but a good defensive play there by number 18, Jim O'Connell.
Now you've got fourth down and 4, so the punting unit is on the field. Good-looking punt, high. Bounds at the 10, and they down it at the 2-yard line.
Great punt.
You can't practice those, Mike. You just need the bounce, and it happened that time for LaSalle.
It's great to punt inside this building. No wind at all. The ball hangs for a long time. Excellent punt. The Lancers of LaSalle have Sibley down there on their own 1-yard line.
No score in this football game. 4 minutes remaining to play in the opening quarter.
44-yard punt that time.
44-yard punt, no return, and you've really, as you mentioned, put the Generals in tough field position. Let's see what Coach Dan Melbrick has instructed his football team to do. They're running out of the I. They've got the passing formation. Receivers split wide left and wide right. Give is up the middle, and a good gain out to about the 15-yard line.
Straight dive play, Mike. Huisengay takes the handoff, gets some good blocking up in front, cuts back against the grain, and basically the whole secondary of LaSalle was in on that tackle. Linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks as well.
First down for Sibley, and that was a big play for them. Now they've got not good field position, but a lot better than they had back at about the 2.
They have a little breathing room.
They keep it on the ground. Gain of a couple.
That was Huisengay again going right up the middle. And in there that time it was Todd Wessels, the left side linebacker on the stop.
Kevin Wells, the left tackle, did a pretty good job of getting something open so he could at least get the 2 yards, and it's now 2nd down and 8. No score in this ball game. We've seen the teams move the ball, but the biggest drive has been Sibley, but the LaSalle defense rose to the occasion when it had to. Here's the pitch out and a fumble. And it's recovered by the Generals back at the 10-yard line.
That was basically a bad pitch by Zank. He was going back to Brody, and I think Brody just cut a little bit too soon. Thus it's a loss of about 4 yards on the play.
So it's 3rd down and 14, and Dan Zank, who, as we said, in the regular season passed for 1,496 yards. They throw in a normal game or an average game will throw as many as 40 passes per contest. And this would be the obvious pass play here. 3rd down. Over the middle, complete. Out of the 25. It should be good enough for a 1st down. And that's John Krogman, the man who they normally like to go to, the split end, the 6'1 senior.
Zank gets good protection from his line, his back staying in block, and Krogan is wide open over the middle. And we've been waiting for them to throw to Krogan this afternoon. As I talked to assistant coach Lynn McCormick, and he says that Krogan is their main receiver.
The ball at the 26-yard line. 1st down, Sibley. Again, the offense is spread receivers wide left and right, but they've got 3 running backs, and they're running out of the shotgun formation. Zank's in trouble. And they'll lose on that play. That didn't fool that LaSalle defense that time, Mike.
I don't know if that was a broken play or what, Mike. It looked as though he wanted to pump once and go to a quarterback draw. You can see he's out of the shotgun, keeps the 2 halfbacks in the block, pumps once over to the left flat, and it looked as though he wanted to run, but the defense just swarmed right in there. Brian Chisel was the first one to hit him.
1 minute left to play in a scoreless 1st quarter of football. Split receiver out to the left and again to the right. 2 setbacks. Zank, and here's the draw. Gain of 3, maybe 4. Well, they'll spot the ball at about the 25-yard line.
He just tripped over his own man that time. Kevin Wills, the left guard, was laying a block, and Brody just tripped over his foot.
Now it's 3rd down. 3rd and 13 for the Generals. They mark the ball at the Sibley 24-yard line. 29 seconds and counting. Time remaining in this opening quarter. John Krogman splits out wide to the left side. Again, that same formation we saw 2 plays ago. Low snap. Zank handles, gets it out. Complete. A flag is down near the line of scrimmage. The reception at the 36-yard line. Now,
okay, he's out of the shotgun once again. He's looking for Krogan all the way, cutting from the left side across the middle. Krogan's wide open, and he picks up the 1st down. But the flag is called, and when it's thrown at the line of scrimmage, it's usually holding.
And that's exactly what it is, Mike. Holding against Sibley. So that nice gain, which would have been good enough for the first down, will be called back. 14 seconds left to play in this first quarter of football. We have no score. The 2A championship on the line, and they walk off the major penalty for holding against Sibley. That pushes the ball clear back to the 12-yard line.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them go to Krogan again, because they've only thrown to him twice, and it's been the same pattern, once from the right side, once from the left side, and it's worked for them. He's been wide open both times, and he's caught it both times, except this one, the last one nullified, of course, because of the penalty.
Third down and 24. So this, they will need to run a deep route if they want to get that first down yardage. And you called quick kick?
I did call quick kick. That kind of surprised me, too.
And at the end of the first quarter, the ball will be at the 43-yard line. After 1 quarter of play, this is a scoreless football game. As we start the second quarter, you can see it's a scoreless football game. LaSalle will have the football first and 10 at the Sibley 41-yard line. So very good field position for the Lancers to start this series.
We'll see now, Mike, if they can open it up and run that veer counter to Thompson, and they don't.
They go to Derek Lewis, the I-back coming through, and he gets himself about 5. Pushes the ball down to the 35-yard line. It'll bring up second down.
Just your basic dive play to the I formation. Derek Lewis taking it right up the middle, gets some good blocking, and they blew that Sibley front four right out of there. And it looks as though that they're going to have to go to that play because they're keying on Thompson.
On the second down play, once again staying on the ground, getting a couple of yards. That's Chris Stark that's in the ball game, wearing number 33 in place of Derek Lewis. And so now you've got a third down play. Third and about 1. Right at the Sibley 31-yard line.
Mike, I'd look for them to go to Thompson right up the middle. Maybe even Steffen will keep it on the sneak, but I think Thompson, he's their big back. He'll probably take it.
3 setbacks. They're calling on Chris Stark again. He needed to get to the 30-yard line. He's close. Let's watch them unpile.
Real close.
I think they may have to bring the chains in to check this, or let's see. No, it's first down. Without the measurement, it's a first and 10 for LaSalle. No score. We're just into the second quarter of this 2A title game. This will be the deepest penetration for LaSalle thus far in the game. From the I formation, split receivers left and right. And Steffen rolls right, going to the outside. Still on his feet at the 15. And they bring him down at about the 11-yard line. Big gainer for quarterback Mark Steffen. In there to make the stop, Brian Parrott, the cornerback. So a big gain and the deepest penetration, and certainly a Lancer threat.
Mark Steffen did this all by himself. His blockers were not out there, but it was a good enough fake that he really didn't need them, and then he breaks some tacklers, and finally Brian Parrott, the cornerback on the far side, made the stop. Touchdown.
First and goal at the 10. The ball is loose. Flags are all over the place. Now Sibley recovers, but let's wait and see what the penalty flag was. There was, I believe, some movement along the line. Procedure is going to be the call. Now it's very important as to which side it was against. Against the Lancers, they'll lose the ball.
It looked as though the snap was before the count, and Steffen never got it.
Sibley recovers the fumble.
Chad Ackerman came in, and he took the ball right out of the air. So Sibley has the ball. Stops that drive because LaSalle was really moving the ball, and they probably would have scored, I believe, on this drive.
Both teams now have had good drives, but neither has been able to come across the goal line yet. No score in the second quarter, 10.5 minutes remaining to play in this first half.
Should mention first turnover of the game as well.
Sibley Generals splitting receivers, flooding the left side now. And in the motion. There's block. And there's the give as they get it out to about the 23-yard line. Carrying the ball was Dave Husingay again.
The pitch goes to Husingay. It's a sweep all the way to the right side. He gets some good blocking up in front. And coming up to make the stop was Jim O'Connell for the Lancers.
Second down and 6. Again, the receivers go wide left. Zink once again, man in motion, and they keep it on the ground. Carrying it off that right side, Husengay again. 5'10", 165-pound senior.
Brian Chisel tripped him up on that play. Otherwise, he may have gotten more yardage because it was like a shoestring tackle.
Doug Block is checking back into the backfield for Sibley. Had a running back. Third down and 3. Ball at the 26-yard line.
What do you think? They'll pass this time?
Well, as much as they pass in a game, and 3rd and 3, are they going to go for the 3 on the ground? Good thing we're not setting the defense. And that's Brian Brody that carried the ball, and it's good enough for a first down for Sibley.
This is Brody, once again, just a straight dive play, steps over the tacklers at the line of scrimmage, and before he's finally taken down by Todd Wessels and Randy Dvorak. I'm surprised that Sibley is running as much as they are.
1st and 10 now. Sibley, they got John Krogman, their split end out wide to the right side. Flanker back goes wide to the left. And again on the ground, big gainer here. Out over the 40 to about the 43-yard line. And once again, Dave Husengay.
Husengay takes a run up the middle. He's the deep back in the eye. Great blocking up in front. Tries to cut across the grain. But Randy Dvorak is there to stop him. But thus, it's enough for a first down. And they're moving the ball on the ground. And it's a passing team. Really surprising.
44-yard line. The fans take a look at this. And there's the Sibley sideline. Plays being sent from upstairs down to the sidelines. Split receivers again, wide left. Fake up the middle, and no chance for Zink to unload the ball. That was Jim Kramer that came in, and he got to quarterback Dan Zink, throwing him for a loss.
LaSalle had a blitz going this time on the defensively. It was the fake handoff. Zink went back to pass, but blitzing through there was Jim Kramer, and there was nowhere for Zink to go but down.
7 minutes, 45 seconds left to play first half. We have no score in this game. Second down and 17 now for Sibley. Krogman comes out wide to the right. Receiver to the left from the shotgun. Over the middle, 40. And this is Husengay, the receiver, driven down at the 45-yard line.
Basically got back to the original line of scrimmage. Operating out of the shotgun, it looks like a screen. They're letting the defensive lineman come in. Husengay's wide open over the middle. And finally, the backer Todd Woods comes up to make the tackle, and he gets back to about the original line of scrimmage where this series began.
Third down and 9 at the 45. Again, receivers split left and right from the shotgun. Zink dropping back over the middle, complete, but what a hit. And it's not near enough for a first down. Drilled down at that time on a nice defensive play was Jim Kramer.
Shotgun one more time, unloads a little soft pass to Brock over the middle, or Brody, excuse me. And once again, Kramer's there. Great hit.
Fourth down and 5, so Ken Hulls is in to punt. In twin safety for Cedar Rapids LaSalle, it's Derek Lewis and Randy Dvorak. The punt from the 40-yard line. That's Lewis under the ball, and he slipped.
We should probably mention, Mike, that with the cold weather, they had a lot of condensation form on the top of this dome overnight, and with the people that come in here, it creates moisture. It's been raining in here overnight, and the field is quite slick.
And he may have hit, we can see some of the wet spots on the turf, and that may exactly be the reason for the fall. The ball now at the 20-yard line as the Lancers break huddle. Splitting out wide to the left side, it's Bruce Miller. They give up the middle, but no place to go. Lots of orange jerseys swarm in to make the stop at the line of scrimmage.
They're keying on Thompson, obviously, Mike, because he is doing just about absolutely nothing. It's the power play, power eye play right up the middle to Miller. And Kevin Amon and Kelvin Vandyhoof are there to make the stop. He gets nothing.
Credit that interior line with a good team effort there. Again, nothing going for the Lancers as quarterback Mark Steffen faked to go just off guard, and then he decided to keep it and go outside.
Running that belly series with the fake to Thompson, and I think Sibley is smelling out everything here. It looks as though LaSalle might have to go to the air, start opening up the passing game, even though they're not known for that.
3rd down and 10. 5 minutes remaining to play first half. We have no score in the game.
We should mention Bill Thompson has only 7 yards rushing so far in the game.
From the I formation, Steffen back, and here comes the 3rd down pass. Incomplete and almost picked off out of the 35.
Steffen overthrew his receiver. That was tight end Brian Schissel. It's pass all the way. Doesn't even fake the handoff. Looking for Schissel all the way. Schissel's open. It was overthrown, and Brian Parrott just missed the interception. It's just a little bit too low for him to get it.
So now it's 4th and 10, and Jim Stevenson will drop back to punt for LaSalle. The beat receivers, Susan Gay and Doug Block. For Sibley. Here's the punt. It's going to bounce at midfield. But he gets away from it, and it'll be blown dead at about the 48-yard line in Sibley territory. So no return on that punt. But Sibley will take over with good field position.
Wasn't a particularly good punt either. Did get a little bit of a LaSalle bounce. Nonetheless, though, it's a great field position for Sibley.
Quarterback Doug Zink entering the ball game. 4:41 left to play, first half. No score in the ball at the LaSalle 49-yard line. From the Unidome on the Northern Iowa campus here in Cedar Falls, Krogman comes out wide to the right. Got a flanker split to the left at the top of your screen, and now in motion. That's Huisengay, the man in motion, and back is Zink. Going to throw to Huisengay out on the flat. He's on his feet at the 40. Now he's down. Gain of very close to 10 yards, Mike. Maybe enough for the first down.
Looks like he just got it. Might be close enough to measure. Zink, it's pass all the way. Huisengay, the primary receiver here. He didn't look anywhere else. Catches it on the flat, wide open out there because they flooded everybody else out. And just shy of the first down.
Less than a yard. It'll be 2nd down, and the ball at the LaSalle 39. 2 setbacks, receivers left and right. Man coming in motion is Doug Block. Fancy play there, but boy, did not fool that Lancer defense.
Trying the triple reverse the way it looked with the pitch to the running back and to the end coming around back to the quarterback. There's the pitch to the running back, then the flanker coming around. It goes back to Zink. I'll tell you, linebacker, left side linebacker Todd Wood smelled it all the way, came in a big loss. It brings him all the way back to the 49-yard line of Sibley.
3 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in a scoreless first half in this 2A title game. Sibley now 3rd down and 12 at their own 49-yard line. From the shotgun once again, and they've got the receivers flooded to the left. Zink's got it complete to his receiver, but way shy of a first down.
Zink was lucky he got that ball off because LaSalle was blitzing again, and Kramer came shooting right through there, but he got it off to Krogan, and Krogan was lucky to have made that catch as well because the defenders were all over him.
Now it's 4th down and 5, and you're in a punting situation once again as we spot the ball at the 44-yard line in LaSalle territory. So again, Ken Hulls will be in the punt, and Derek Lewis and Randy Dvorak standing back in twin tandem at about the 12-yard line. For Hulls, he'll punt from his own 45. This is Lewis. Fumbled the ball and falls on it at the 15.
You know, that's something we saw a lot of last night that happened to Cedar Falls, the ball bouncing off their chest, and he was just lucky that he recovered it because last night Cedar Falls wasn't able to, and it led to a touchdown for Heelan.
We'll become clock watchers for you with 2:06 left to play to see if the Lancers can get anything going here as we close down towards the end of this first half of football. Kelly Sanner will have some halftime guests for you, so we hope you'll stay tuned during our halftime program. Flag down before the snap. Ball at the 15-yard line.
Defense jumped that time before the count, and they do not have the opportunity in high school ball to get back once they cross the plane. It's an automatic 5-yard penalty.
So that's going to make it 1st and 5. But again, time will be the big factor here. They're 80 yards from the goal line, and 1:55 left to play. No score in this game. Receiver going to split wide to the left now on 1st and 5. Jim Stevenson is the man flanked wide left. And they set up in the I formation. Mark Steffen, a senior quarterback. Gives up the middle, and there goes Derek Lewis. Check it, Chris Stark wearing 33. Stark got to the 30-yard line, gets the first down for the Lancers. 1:47 left to play.
There's just a huge hole for him to run through, and Stark is such a quick back. He makes up for Thompson. Isn't really the fast back, but he's the strong back, and obviously going to the quick back is working better than going to Thompson.
Ken Holm splits to the left on that play and give up the middle, short gainer to about the 35, but the yellow flags are all over.
This play is going to be called back because if you watch on the right side, the right guard, Todd Wessels, jumped before the snap. Nice gain nonetheless by Stark, but it'll be called back because of the offside call against LaSalle.
The procedure penalty, 1:35 left. So they're going to walk 5 back off against the Lancers. And that'll put the line of scrimmage at the 25-yard line. So it's 1st and 15. The Lancers coming into this game with an overall record of 9 wins against 2 losses. Obviously, when you're at this level of play, you've got teams with very impressive credentials. Split receiver to the left. I formation. Steffen back, wants to throw. It's going deep, and it is incomplete. Overthrown, intended for Randy Dvorak.
He had Dvorak all the way, just overthrew him just a little bit. Dvorak had to make a dive for the ball. As we see, it's the fake handoff to Stark. Winds up, he's looking for Dvorak all the way along the sidelines. And I guess he really had to overthrow him a little bit because it could have been picked off if he would have underthrew it, but just a tad over his fingertips.
1:27 left in the first half. 2nd down and 15 play, and they keep it on the ground for a very short gainer. As Chris Stark carried the ball. Racked up in there on the left side of the line. And there to make the tackle was Chad Ackerman, a 180-pounder. 3rd down, 14. Clock continues to run with 1:04 left in the half. Once again, Ken Helm splits wide to the left side. And the bootleg rolling left, it's Steffen. Throws in, it is incomplete. And there they're going to throw a flag for interference.
He had his back to us. I thought that Schissel had caught the ball. We couldn't quite tell, but the officials are closer than we are. It looked as though it was a questionable call, but they called interference all the way. That was a good bootleg by Steffen.
He had the option, obviously. He had the option whether he wanted to run or throw the ball, and they closed in on him pretty quickly. Here we go to walk off the penalty now for the pass interference call against the Generals. Ball at the 42-yard line. It's now 1st and 10 for Cedar Rapids LaSalle. Keep in mind we only have 52 seconds left to play in this first half. So time is definitely a factor right now.
Kind of surprised it's a scoreless game at this point.
From the I formation. Keeping it on the ground, and here's Thompson. His biggest gain of the afternoon, and look at him go to the 32-yard line.
Now that's more like the Bill Thompson we saw a week ago against Roland Story, cracking up the middle for the big gainer. As a matter of fact, he had a touchdown run of 37 yards last week, and it was really surprising that he was being stacked up as much as he was earlier in the game at the line of scrimmage.
He came off that right side and got some fine blocking. Todd Wessels, the right guard, and Jeff Ink, the right tackle. They opened that up, and that's right. This Bill Thompson, when he gets rolling, he's like a freight train. Biggest gain for Thompson this afternoon. Now they'll watch LaSalle really work the clock because they can sense a possible opportunity to score here with 44 seconds left in the half.
That's right, only 44 seconds left. LaSalle called a timeout. They're discussing things over now in the huddle, and what they want to do is find out what's working for them. Coach Tom Kapatic is check with the players to see where they can find a weakness and probably find out where they can take the opportunity to get into the end zone before halftime.
The ball at the Sibley 32-yard line. 44 seconds left to play in the first half. This is the 2A championship game as we look at the Lancers from Cedar Rapids, LaSalle. Tom Kapatic, their head coach, a graduate of Drake University. And LaSalle, of course, finished second in their conference this season. But again, what an honor when a football team makes it to the state championship game.
They're a 2A school, Mike, only have lost twice. Once was to Linn-Mar, the other was to Cedar Rapids Regis, and those are both 3A schools. They were ranked high in the 3A poll all year, those two teams.
Just had a good look at Tom Kapatic on the sidelines. Now we're back to live action and up the middle. Gain of a couple. Keep in mind the clock running. Now LaSalle will take another timeout as they get the ball to the 28-yard line. That was Bill Thompson once again carrying. Thompson again carried the ball, and obviously Mike will keep it here. These timeouts are for the real purpose of just stopping the clock and letting the coaching staff, as you mentioned, talk between the sidelines and upstairs and make sure that they can call whatever might work. With it now 2nd down and 6.
I would take at this time that LaSalle will either go to, they're keying on Thompson Sibley, so they will probably Stephan on the rollout, Stephan on the option. Maybe give it to Stark up the middle because Stark has had some big gainers for them as well. I wouldn't be surprised 2nd and 6 maybe to have him also throw a pass and just throw it away out of bounds, just to stop that clock to keep that extra timeout, the only timeout they have remaining.
Sibley coach Dan Melbrick now coming off the field, and we're set to go with 38 seconds remaining. It's 2nd down and 6. The ball at the Sibley 28-yard line. I formation, split receiver wide to the left side. And Stephan rolling left, gonna throw it, complete to the 15-yard line. Big gain that time, and that's Ken Helm that caught the ball. And with 30 seconds left, LaSalle, if not in for the score, certainly working themselves into possible field goal position. Now at the 15-yard line, and it is 1st down.
That was a big 1st down for LaSalle to keep this drive going because it was 2nd and 6, and they couldn't afford really to throw it away unless they just wanted to stop the clock to keep that extra time out.
On the 1st down, Stephan rolling right. He's getting into the corner, and he throws it incomplete. That, of course, will stop the clock with 11 seconds left to play in this half. Brings up 2nd down and 10. So the downs are not a factor, Mike, at this point. It's the clock.
Stephan had a heavy rush that time as he rolled out. Number 70, Kevin Wills, was coming in through there. And basically he had to dump it away because it was great coverage in the end zone, keeping those receivers covered, and he couldn't find anybody open.
11 seconds remaining. That's the LaSalle crowd. All decked, many of them in their green, school colors, of course, green and white. And so we're going to try that field goal. The ball will be spotted at the 21-yard line. Going to make it a 31-yard field goal, and they want some thinking for Pat Loeffler, who will have to kick the field goal or make the attempt. So that's a strategy that a lot of coaches use, just to let that young man think about it a little bit.
That's right. Let it sink in a little bit, and hopefully that he'll muff it.
During halftime, of course, we'll hope to have comments from both of these coaches, and we'll have other interesting information and music for you here at halftime. It's all of the hoopla and gala festivities that go along with championship football, and certainly here in the state of Iowa, we're quite proud of the way we conduct the state playoffs in a facility that is indoors. Sun shining outside today, Mike, but it's still cold, and it's awful nice to be in here.
It's still real cold, and it's great to have this indoor facility to play because I would not want to be standing outside for games today.
Here's Pat Loeffler now. Again, the ball will be spotted at the 22. That's going to be a 32-yard attempt. It is up. Looks like it's long enough. It's good.
Just made it. Just barely made it.
So with 7 seconds left to play in this first half, the game has finally We've finally seen 3 points go up on the board. It's 3-0 in favor of LaSalle, and across the way, the happy fans as we look. 7 seconds remaining to play, and there's your score. 3-0 on the board. LaSalle and their traveling white jerseys, the guests here this afternoon.
Whatever win there is in this building, and it isn't much, had to carry that over because he did not have that much foot into that ball.
He just cleared it, but it'll go down as 3 points, and 3 big points, the way these defenses have been playing this afternoon.
Funny thing is, the offenses have been moving the ball, but once they get down to about the 30, 25-yard line, they stall themselves, it seems.
Loeffler will kick off with 7 seconds left to play in this first half of football. This is the 2A championship game. Of course, later today there will be one more game, and then we will have all of our classes, all the champions crowned for 1982.
The interesting thing about this afternoon's game is that Sibley, basically a passing team, has only 53 yards in passing offense so far.
The one thing, I guess, if nobody likes to be behind, but if you are and you're a passing team,
that's a good thing to have going for you.
Many a team that's a running team has to come totally away from their game plan. And so I would imagine we're going to see quite a second half. Here's the kickoff. Onside, and it didn't go the necessary 10 yards. And it's just like a banana. Rolls around. That looked like a pretty good slice for many a golfer.
So Sibley get the ball, they get one chance, throw it up for grabs. Hail Mary type pass.
Got a man that's 55% completion ratio.
Nothing to lose, really. 7 seconds left.
Ball will be marked at the 49-yard line in LaSalle territory. LaSalle just scoring on a Pat Loeffler field goal of 32 yards. And so it's a 3-0 ball game. So Lancers get set defensively. And now the Generals in the huddle. As talking quarterback Dan Zenk mentioning the play he wants. There's John Krogman splitting out. Krogman going to come out wide to the right side, and we're ready to go as we get a good look at Dan Zenk, the quarterback, from the shotgun formation. Back to throw. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage. Pass is deep. It is intercepted at the 25-yard line. No time remaining, and there was a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
It was against the offense as well. I think it was illegal motion in the backfield, Mike.
Procedure penalty, obviously, as you mentioned, against Sibley will be declined. And there you can see a happy group of Cedar Rapids Lancer fans, and there are the Generals heading for the locker room for a visit with Coach Dan Melbrack and staff. The fans on their feet for a little halftime stretch. There are the Sibley fans. They're not cheering at this point, but we've got a whole second half to go, and they'll be rooting those Generals on as we're at halftime of the Class 2A title game. And we watch the teams move up and down, but right now we've got Kelly Center standing by, and let's go to Kelly down on the field.
At halftime, 3-0 Cedar Rapids LaSalle. We're talking with head coach Dan Melbrack of the Sibley Generals. Coach, a team, in your case, throws the pass to open up the run. Normally it's the other way around. Why is that?
Well, we are not that big, and we just felt that we can throw the football. And when teams do try to go to stop our passing game, that does open up the running lane. And we just have to look to that a little more the second half.
Have the Lancers surprised you in any way with what they've come out with?
No, not really. They haven't shown anything that we weren't prepared for. Just that they're executing very, very well. They had a couple of big sacks, a big play on offense, and we just got to play a little better second half.
Bill Thompson did not run the ball that often in the first half. Did that surprise you a little bit?
No, you know, they give him the football depending on what we do defensively, and we're taking that away from them, and you know, that's part of our game plan, and so they're going to their alternate game plan of a quarterback keeping the football.
Although your team gave up a field goal, you'll still have to be relatively pleased with the way they played in the first half.
We had the poor field position down there. They had a first down with time to go, and we didn't give up just the field goal, so I think we're in good shape yet.
Should we look for anything different from the Generals in the second half?
Well, we're going to talk about it right now.
Okay, Coach, thanks very much, and best of luck in the second half.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to the two mics up in the booth, O'Connor and Hedin.
Okay, and thank you very much, Kelly. And we're at halftime, 3-0, and we'll be back with more of our halftime show. Keep in mind our score, 3-0, LaSalle leading.
Ladies and gentlemen,
2A championship game with LaSalle out in front of Sibley, 3-0. We can see in the picture right now the band from Orange City, the Pride of the Dutchman, that are entertaining our crowd here today. And Mike Hedin, as we watch the band, let's talk a little bit about what we saw in the first half. One that we know both teams can move the ball in different ways. One supposedly on the ground, the other by the air. Both teams did move it, but once they got inside that 20, it got pretty tough going.
I was surprised basically to see Sibley run as much as they did. Basically a passing team, as we talked about throughout the first half, but they kept it on the ground. Brody, who's in game, and people like that, no problem on picking up the yardage. Their running game is working for them well.
You wonder sometimes if they're not, and coaches don't do this, set people up for what's going to happen in the second half. And again, when it's a 3-0 football game, certainly it's still anybody's contest. And I think maybe we'll see Sibley take to the air more and maybe come out with some things that possibly people haven't even seen before.
The thing that Coach Dan Melbrick mentioned at halftime when he was talking to Kelly before he went down to the dressing room, Bill Thompson has not been able to carry the ball as much and pick up the yardage because their defense isn't letting him.
And when Thompson finally did get loose, of course, he's the man that got the big gainer that actually got them into the position that they had to be with 7 seconds left in the half to allow Pat Loeffler to kick a 32-yard field goal, and it hit the middle of the upright, but just barely clearing it. But that's what it takes. So we're at halftime of our AA championship game with a score: Cedar Rapids LaSalle 3 and Sibley nothing.
Back at the Unidome, we're at halftime of the 2A state championship game with Cedar Rapids LaSalle leading Sibley 3-0. The second game of the high school championships this afternoon pits Cedar Rapids Regis against the Cyclones of Harlan. Let's take a look at what we can expect from that one. The Harlan Cyclones are in the Class 3A finals for the second year in a row, and once again they're up against a team from Cedar Rapids. Of the 5 state championship games that were played a year ago, some say the 3A game was the best, Harlan bowing to the Cedar Rapids Prairie Hawks 13-7. Now, if the Cyclones win today's contest, it will be their second state championship. They won the 3A crown 10 years ago. Harlan enters today's game unbeaten. The Cyclones advance to the championship round with wins over Webster City and Fairfield in earlier tournament games. The Regis Royals are entering today's game after beating Pleasant Valley and Linn-Mar in the first 2 rounds. The Linn-Mar game was one of revenge for Regis as the Lions won their regular season meeting 22-15 in overtime in the second to the last game of the regular season. That loss knocked the Royals from their #1 ranking in Class 3A, a position they held for most of the season. It was also their only loss of the year. Top players for the Royals include quarterback John Lawrence. He scored all 3 touchdowns in a 22-8 semifinal win last week over Linn-Mar. His favorite target is number 13. That's Dick Breitbach. He's a senior wide receiver. The Royals also have a bag of tricks, so don't be surprised to see Coach Tom Good install some exotic plays, as the Royals would like to take home that championship trophy. It would be their first since 1978.
We thank Micah Dean for that preview of the 3A football game, and now let's go down on the field and the pride of the Dutchmen from Orange City and their fine band. Pride of the Dutchman from Orange City performing for us here at halftime. We have a halftime score of 3-0, LaSalle leading Sibley. And we're back here at halftime at the Unidome in Cedar Falls with the LaSalle out in front of Sibley 3-0. And we get set, of course, for a big second half of football here tonight. And right now we've got Kelly Sanner, and he's got a very interesting halftime guest for us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Kelly Sander here on the sidelines with Roger Wolko. Roger is the director and coordinator for the Iowa High School Athletic Association referees. Roger, the first question I think I have to ask you, with the large crowds here at the Unidome today, why would anyone, with all the pressure of a championship game, want to officiate?
Oh, we have a lot of guys that would just love to be here officiating today, Kelly.
A lot of pressure put on these gentlemen, probably only by themselves.
Yeah, but they've been at it for quite a while, most of them, and they're pretty accustomed to this type of thing. They all work regular season games, and many of them have been in the football playoffs before.
How do they get to be not only a playoff official, but a referee for the championship game?
Well, to get into the playoffs, we have a system where we send out cards to our schools where they can recommend the officials that they would desire to have in the playoffs, and we tabulate these results. And then the officials with the most recommendations get to work these games. And the fellas that work our championship games are the highest rated officials in the state of Iowa.
With all the officials in the state, it would seem to me it would be difficult for the high schools to keep all the referees' names, keep them in mind for time for recommendation. Wouldn't that be difficult?
Well, we give our officials cards that they can hand to the coaches before ball games during the regular season that lists their members of their crew, and then when the coaches go back and evaluate, they've always got these cards to refer back to the officials that they feel do the best job for them.
You mentioned a little bit earlier that some of these officials have 16, 17 years experience, and how do they get to be a referee to begin with?
Well, to begin with, they file a registration form and take an open book examination, and that lets them be a temporary official, and then after that they take some supervised exams and attend our state-sponsored rules meetings, and that's the way they become officials.
A little bit about the people you hear very little about, the officials. Now back up to the booth and Mike O'Connor.
Okay, Kelly, thank you very much. And we're getting ready in just a few minutes for third quarter action of this 2A title game. But Mike Adine, I think you've got a preview of some pretty exciting winter activities.
That's right, Mike. As you know, the Iowa basketball team will begin this season in that new arena. That's the Carver Hawkeye Sports Arena. And that will be open for the Amana Classic in early December. But before that, the Hawks will have been on display throughout the state and on statewide television. Here's Bob Hogue with a report.
The Hawks have played 3 interesting.
Halftime here at the Unidome, 3-0 in favor of Cedar Rapids LaSalle over the Sibley Generals. And let's take a look at some of the first half statistics. Now, these are the official stats. First downs are in favor of the Lancers, 9 compared to 6 for the Sibley Generals. Rushing yards, this is kind of a surprise, not such a surprise that LaSalle has 108 yards and 20 attempts, but the Sibley Generals have been on the ground a few times, and they picked up 38 yards rushing, 16 attempts. Passing, all in favor of Sibley, 74 yards and compared to 12 for the LaSalle Lancers. Taking a look at individual statistics, first in the rushing category for LaSalle, Mark Steffen, the quarterback, has carried 8 times for 47 yards. Bill Thompson, the big fullback, basically the bread and butter man for LaSalle, has 6 carries for 36 yards. Chris Stark, 5 for 22. For Sibley, Dave Husengay, 44 yards and 8 carries. Brian Brody, 5 carries, 17 yards. In the passing department, Mark Steffen is 1 out of 5, no interceptions, 12 yards. And Dan Zank for Sibley, he's completed 7 out of 9 for 74 yards. Receiving, Dave Husengay has 3 receptions for 51 yards. John Krogman, 2 for 22, and Brian Brody, 1 for 4. Ken Helm, 1 for 12 in the passing department.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And here at halftime, our score: Cedar Rapids LaSalle 3 and Sibley 0. They're back on the field. We see LaSalle out in front of Sibley 3-0 on a Pat Loeffler 32-yard field goal with only 7 seconds left to play in the first half. Sibley going through some calisthenics, just loosening up. And the noise you hear in the background, and there you can see coming onto the right side of your screen, the Lancers from Cedar Rapids LaSalle High School. And in just a moment, we're going to be getting a comment from Coach Tom Kapatic to see how things went in that locker room with his team leading it 3-0. And there's the Lancer Pep Band going through their routine to bring the Lancers back out onto the field here for the second half of our Class 2A championship football game from the Dome, the Unidome on the Northern Iowa campus. And now with Coach Tom Kapatic, here's Kelly Sander.
LaSalle leads at halftime 3-0, but Coach Tom Kapatic, you're not very pleased with the way the Lancers played.
Well, I think, we made a couple mistakes, and, we just shouldn't have made, and, that's that. I guess we can't do anything about it. We got to come back second half.
Anything different we'll see in the second half?
Oh, I don't know. You know, we've got some other things that we're ready to go, but I just think, you know, the mistake, you know, we've just got to do things better what we're doing. And that's it.
We noticed in today's game that you're putting the ball up in the air much more than you did in your semifinal game. Any reason for that?
Well, you know, they stopped the run a little bit, and they're crowding some people, and we just thought we could throw the ball, so that's what we decided to go with.
You've come a long way since you coached me as a freshman at Dowling West Des Moines.
That's right. You've grown a little well.
Coach, best of luck in the second half.
Thanks.
Not many people know that Tom Kopatich is also the son-in-law of offensive line coach Jim Williams at Iowa State University. After that little bit of trivia, back up to the booth and the mics, O'Connor and Hedin.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much. And the captains are meeting at midfield as you get a good look at that dome. The roof, of course, that keeps us nice and warm, especially on a night like last night. And we're mighty glad to be in here this afternoon. The captains met at midfield. Keep in mind that we're now ready for the second half. There's the routine Sibley goes through prior to the start of each half, trying to get, I guess, supercharged. Mike, ready for the second half.
Let's get fired up, as they say. Should be a good half of football. We'll see if the teams stick with their basic game plan or if the way things went in the first half makes them change, and we'll see what happens.
They're the Lancers. They're coming out onto the field and they're ready to go. With second half play, a 3-0 football game. So we think we're going to see quite a second half of football, and we're certainly glad you can join us. We know the folks up in Northwest Iowa that follow Lakes Conference football. Well, I'm sure you're enjoying this telecast, and those of you, of course, in Eastern Iowa, the Cedar Rapids Lancers, the LaSalle Lancers, have certainly given their fans a lot to cheer about here in 1982. And one of these teams going to take home a mighty big trophy in about an hour or an hour and a half. It'll be LaSalle kicking off to begin this second half as they break away, and Pat Loeffler is the man who will kick it. The deep receivers, Gay and Doug Block, they go back for Sibley. There's Loeffler waiting for the official to whistle and get us ready to go for third quarter action in this, the 2A football championship game. Got to get everyone in place, and here we go. Second half is underway. Kicks a low liner and just falling on that football at the 30-yard line. The Generals, and coming up with the football, just diving on it to protect it, was Mike Vandersloot. And it's Sibley's football, 1st and 10 in their own territory.
Those little squib kicks are used, hopefully, so that the receiver will muff the reception and cause a fumble, and so the kicking team can recover in good field position. Obviously, that didn't work for LaSalle that time.
Sibley breaking the huddle as the Lancer defense getting down on all fours, that front four right now. And here we go, 1st and 10 at the 30, and now a flag tossed. And it's against Sibley.
The flag, the way it looks, is the tight end lining up over there. That was Glenn Heinrichs. Didn't have his chin strap on.
We think he didn't have his chin strap, and boy, you can't do that. That's obviously a safety measure for the athlete himself. And head injuries, of course, one of the biggest, along with knee injuries nowadays. Big concerns of coaches, parents, and athletic officials as well. Now we'll have it 1st and 15 from the 25. It goes up the middle and nothing going. Out of the I formation. And that was Gay that carried the ball, but he ran into a stone wall right at the line of scrimmage. Second down.
Leading the attack that time, nose guard Jeff Enck and linebacker Todd Wessels were in there. It just plugged up the center of that line for LaSalle, and there was nowhere for Gay to go.
Second down now.
Still second down 15. Obvious passing situation, I would think.
Split receivers both right and left. Now in motion, Gay, and here's the pitch out. Oh, good block. And out over the 32 to the 33-yard line. Gain of about 7 on the play. For the
Mike McCarty took the pitch, came around the right side, get some good blocking up front from the right side of that line. That's Darrell Toogie and Kelvin Vandehoof. And he picks up 7 yards on the play.
Ball at the 32-yard line. 3rd down and 8. Generals send John Krugman split wide to the left side. Receiver wide right, and here is Zink back to throw under pressure, incomplete. he was throwing for a spot, and there may have been a little mix-up because Husingay wasn't even looking.
Heavy rush coming through this time, Mike, from the LaSalle linemen. That's Pat Loeffler and Jeff Eink coming through there, and he went for Husingay, but Zink just really had to dump it off because of the heavy pressure, and he was shaken up on the play. He's coming out of the game.
It'll be 4th down, 4th and 8. So Ken Hulls is in to punt.
That's probably why he came out of the game, because it's 4th down.
Derek Lewis and Randy Dvorak. Oh, good-looking punt by Hull. Sends Lewis way back. Here's the fake reverse. And that's still Lewis with the ball. He's at the 40, going down the far sideline. Run out of bounds. Well, the fake reverse there. Lewis faking to Dvorak. Got him a nice punt return after an excellent punt. Let's look again.
Okay, Lewis takes the kickoff, fakes the handoff, a nice fake. It draws the coverage over, also drew some of our camera people, but Lewis keeps it, cuts up the middle, gets some fine blocking going up the sidelines, and he's finally knocked out of bounds at the 45.
Back to live action. LaSalle with good field position on 1st down. And that's the quarterback, Steffen, keeping to the 40-yard line. LaSalle player is down at about the 41-yard line. Can't get a number. So there's an official timeout with 9:46 left to play in this 3rd quarter, with LaSalle out in front of Sibley, 3-0. And LaSalle will keep moving on this series after that fine punt return. Sibley defensive unit talking things over. And again, we have an official timeout. There's a LaSalle player shaken up. And don't want to mention a name until you can see as well as we can. When we get a number, we'll identify the injured LaSalle player.
That was the type of play that LaSalle wanted to use. It gave them 5 yards on the play. Steffen wanted to keep it all the way on the rollout. That's Todd Wessels.
Fine linebacker.
Linebacker and a good guard. He's opening up a lot of holes there for people like Thompson, and Steffen's going through the middle as well as Chris Starr.
The ball at the Sibley 40-yard line, 2nd down and 5. Got the offense in real tight now. Both ends are in tight, and here's Lewis. And he twists and turns close to a 1st down.
Not quite enough, though, Mike. Could be about a yard shy.
To the 36-yard line.
Straight dive play. Goes to Lewis over the left side. He has a big hole, but it closes quickly. And coming in there, Kevin Ahman, I should say, and Kelvin Vandehoof in there to make the stop. But he does pick up 4 yards on the play.
3rd and 1 now. There they got the 1st down. Over the right side.
Not much there. He was tripped up by Ahman, but it didn't matter. He just had to get over the line, pick up that 1 yard for the 1st.
Derek Lewis, the running back that picked that up. He's a junior, 140-pounder. And it's a 1st down for LaSalle. 9 minutes remaining to play 3rd quarter. The Lancers leading 3-0. Steffen gives up the middle. There's Big Bill Thompson. Look at him go. What a runner to the 21-yard line. And that's what they've been telling us all about, Mike. There's no doubt about it.
All Bill Thompson has to do is find a little bit of daylight. Once he hits the hole, he can work up enough steam. He's strong enough that he can pull those defenders with him, and he showed it right here. He pulled a couple of them with him, and he picked up good yardage. And this is a big series for LaSalle because they need to score here to kind of get in control.
1st and 10 at the 21. Steffen keeps. Got room around the left side, and boy, he put his head down and just plowed to the 10-yard line. Pretty good-looking quarterback that runs awfully well.
That was a good bootleg by Steffen. He fakes the handoff to Thompson up the middle, then just cuts it up off tackle. He wanted to cut off tackle, but it was plugged, so he goes around the far side. Wills comes out along with the quarterback, Scott Shook, and he just buried Scott Shook, put his head right into Shook's belly, and it looks as though it might be good enough for a 1st down. I think it'll be a tad short.
You've got the chains out there, you can see, and the official just indicating just inches. So it'll be 2nd down. They bring the chains out to spot the football. Right along the hash mark, and there, look at that. About 6 inches.
looking back at that last play, I think if Stephen would have gone a little bit farther out to the sidelines, he would have picked up the first down. I don't think he would have taken it into the end zone, but he would have gotten the first down.
Second down, less than a yard. So Lancers break huddle. Again, they keep everyone in tight, a very tight formation. And that's Stephen on the quarterback keep, just slicing off the left side, following Paul Phillip and Pat Loeffler. And it's a first down for the LaSalle Lancers. Clock running now with 8:12 remaining to play. Third quarter, 3-0 football game. LaSalle leading and trying to increase that lead.
It's the closest either team has been to the end zone all day.
There's the give again off the left side. So they fight it off about a 2-yard pickup.
Does that belly series again, Mike, where Stephen fakes the handoff to Thompson. And he tries to pull the defenders with him, but it didn't fool Sibley that time as they get Stephen, and he picks up about a yard, maybe 2 on the play.
In tight formation. That's Thompson to the 5.
Once again, Thompson just needs to find the hole, a little bit of daylight. It closes quickly, but he can pull the defender with him to pick up a couple more yards and get them down to the 5-yard line.
Vanderhoof made that tackle. LaSalle breaks the huddle on third down and goal at the 5. And that cost him the right side, the right side of the timeout. For LaSalle, jumped off sides.
There's a mix-up in the formation, Mike, in the backfield, and Stephen tried to set his backs in the position he wanted them. You know, being the quarterback, he has to know where everybody's supposed to be set, and one of the line people just jumped offside after they were set.
Jeff Ink was the man who jumped, and like you said, once you cross that plane in high school, makes no difference whether you make contact. You can't get back. They've caught you. So it's third and goal, just inside the 10-yard line. Rolled into the right, Stephen. Gonna throw it, incomplete.
Pass interference.
The flag goes down. Interference in the end zone. That hurt Sibley because I think that pass was well overthrown. Stephen was just really scrambling out of there, rolling right.
Mike Young was the retentive receiver, and Stephen did overthrow him, but Brian Parrott got his feet tangled up.
Offsetting penalties. It was interference, but there was a penalty against LaSalle too, and so their offsetting penalties will run the play over again.
All over again. Just scratch that one from the scorebook.
That ends up being a break for Sibley on that exchange. Third down and goal at the 9-yard line. 6 minutes, 46 seconds remaining to play in the third quarter of this 2A championship football game. LaSalle leading. If you joined us late in the first half, Pat Loeffler kicked a 32-yard field goal for LaSalle. Receiver split wide to the right side. Here's the pitch. Now the halfback pass, partially blocked, intercepted at the 5-yard line. Well, that brings the Sibley fans to their feet.
Daryl Schulte was in playing in a tailback this time. He's a backup quarterback. He took the pitch, and he's looking into the end zone for the receiver, but big lineman comes in there for Sibley, and I think that was Kelvin Vanderhoof, and he's a big one, 6'3", 225, and he just batted that ball down.
Sibley fans, and as we said, they like to see that. And once again, an offensive unit has moved the ball, but not able to punch it over. Sibley takes over, 1st and 10. Carrying out for a gain of about 5, Dave Husengay. Husengay to about the 9, maybe the 10. Kramer made the stop for LaSalle. And it's second down.
Just a couple of yards. Husengay, he's been their workhorse this afternoon in the backfield. And they say, we've mentioned this before, they say they run to keep the passing game honest, but today they're passing to keep the running game honest.
John Krogman split way wide right. Into motion now. And here's the give and the running play, nothing going. That LaSalle defense, the right side of that line, in on a good charge that time. And up with a nice play along the right side Todd Wessels, the man who garnered the runner that time.
You know, Mike, on the last series, Zank was hurt because Terry Hellinger was playing quarterback this time, but Zank has just come back into the game, so he must be okay now.
3rd down and 9 for the Generals. Zank, a fine passer. This is a passing play, an obvious one, but let's see what happens. He's rolling right, goes sideline, complete. Out of bounds at about the 21-yard line. And the pass was to Glenn Heinrichs, the tight end.
It's your typical rollout pass, looking for one receiver the entire time, fakes the handoff up the middle to Husengay, then he lets the pass go out on the flat, and it's to Heinrich, the tight end, and Heinrich has enough for the first down.
A little better field position now for the Generals as they talk it over in their huddle. Good look at the line of scrimmage. That's what that head linesman sees all afternoon long. 1st and 10. Man in motion right to left and up the middle, but nothing going for Dave Husengay, trying to go off the right side.
Once again, Todd Wessels was in there. He's playing a fine game at that right-left side linebacker, and he's basically playing up close to the line of scrimmage where he can plug up that hole between the nose guard and the tackle.
Ball at the 20-yard line, Sibley territory. As the Generals, quarterback Dan Zank, number 15, gives his teammates the play. Flooding the receivers to the right side, slot man right. Krugman, the split end to the right side, and a flag.
I think we're going to have a delay of game here.
Yeah. 5 yards for too much time called against Sibley. And that'll make it 2nd down and 15. Ball goes back to the 15-yard line. Coaches don't like to see that.
Basically because you waste a play that it could have been a good gainer.
4:29 remaining to play in the 3rd quarter.
And really, there's no use. You know, it's really an uncalled for penalty because if you know the play, you should be able to get it off. There must be confusion in the huddle at times.
John Krogman splits out wide to the right. Split receiver coming out wide left, and now in motion, it's Husengay. Here's Zank back to throw, rolls the phone flat, he's in trouble, gets rid of it, and incomplete. Well, good pursuit that time by that front 4 of LaSalle.
Heavy rush by the nose guard, Jeff Ink. Husengay back to, or Zank back to pass. He pumps once to Husengay, and he found that Husengay was covered, but he had a heavy rush by Ink, and just had to dump it off.
3rd down and 15. At the 15-yard line. Sibley with a 9-1 record. They won the Lakes Conference Championship. Split receiver wide to the left. There's senior John Krogman. Again, they put a man in motion. Mix up, bumping in the back. Look at that. Pretty strong quarterback, Zank, as he stands under great pressure and unloads the football. That's where being 6'3" and 190 pounds as a quarterback pays off. They just couldn't bring him down.
So he gets a heavy rush once again from Jeff Ink, and Ink is even smaller than Zank. Ink goes 6'2", 190, and Zank did a great job of getting the ball off to his tight end. That's Heinrich. Not much of a gain, but it saved a sack.
It does bring up 4th down, so Ken Hulls is in to punt from his own 8-yard line. High punt, Lewis and Dvorak. Fair catch called for and taken at the Sibley 49-yard line. That's Lewis that called for the fair catch. So the Lancers take over once again. They will have very fine field position. LaSalle leading 3-0.
It's going to be interesting to see LaSalle. They've controlled play so far in the 2nd half, just to see if the Lancers can get it into the end zone now.
The Lancers, Mark Steffen at quarterback. Keeps everybody in tight, rolls to the right, and he dives ahead for a couple to about the 47-yard line. One of the Sibley players still down, and so we're going to have an official timeout. We've got an injury on the play. 3:26 left to play in this quarter. And so while we have an official timeout, let's remind you of our score. It's 3-0, LaSalle out in front of Sibley. 3 minutes and 26 seconds left to play in this third quarter with LaSalle leading it 3-0. Kevin Amon was the injured player. He walked off the field under his own power. There's an ice bag on the head of quarterback Dan Zink. Here's a long throw on 2nd and 9, incomplete. They were going for all the marbles that time, Mike.
Mike Young was the intended receiver. He's the split end. And check me on that. That was Ken Holm, the flanker back, and just overthrew him.
Just running
Holm wasn't anywhere near the ball, really.
So it's now 3rd down and 9. Ball at the 47-yard line. Some cute young faces that are in the crowd joining us this afternoon. I formation. This is Steffen. Here we go again. Deep. Oh, nice deflection. Good timing that time by the defender.
This is free safety, or also known as the center fielder. That's John Krogman. It's the rollout to the left side by Steffen, and he's looking deep all the way to Holm one more time. But watch Krogan come up and just get his fingertips on the ball and tap it away. That would have been almost 6 points for LaSalle if he would have done that. Nice play by Krogman.
The Sibley sidelines, and that's the offensive unit anxious to get back onto the field because it's 4th down. And in the punt, Stevenson sends it deep back, and uh-oh, the ball fumbled around. It's loose, still loose, and picked up. And going to go in. We're going to call it dead, I believe, at the 10-yard line. They carried it in. LaSalle thinks they've just scored a touchdown, but the official says 1st down back at the 11, so where he picked that up. Let's look at it again.
Okay, there's the receiver. That's Brody. Brody fumbles the ball as he tries to run really before he has his hands on it. And picking it up, Mike Young appears to have a touchdown, but they call it dead where he downed the ball, I guess. That's what you can say, 11-yard line. So LaSalle will have it 1st and 10. A big break for the Lancers.
1st down for Cedar Rapids LaSalle. They lead 3-0, 2:56 left to play in this third quarter. Here we go, Mark Steffen again out, now waiting to get all the chains in place along the far sideline. We're ready. 1st and 10, the ball at the 10.5-yard line. Give up the middle. Gain of maybe 1 to about the 9.5, possibly the 9. It'll be 2nd down.
Not much running room that time for Chris Stark as the middle of that line for the Sibley Generals was in there to plug it up well.
4 down linemen defensively for Sibley. Steffen ready. Gives and off to Chris Stark. So he goes off the left side. Couple of yards. Playing it pretty close to the vest right now with 3rd down coming up.
They're running that slant to Stark, go to the right and to the left side. That one to the left side. There's nowhere to go. Chad Ackerman was there to plug up the hole for the Generals. He plays on the right side at that linebacker position. And it's interesting, they run that 4-4, the Sibley Generals do, and there's not much running room against that. You really have to plow open the holes.
3rd and 6, Steffen pitches back. This is Lewis. Touchdown. Derek Lewis. Anchor down is about a 7-yard touchdown run.
The key to this is number 48, Bill Thompson. He's just going out of your screen. He lays a nice block into the end zone, and in goes Lewis for the touchdown.
So it's now a 9-0 football game. LaSalle leading the Sibley Generals with 1:51 left to play in this third quarter, and Pat Loeffler, who has 1 field goal to his credit so far this afternoon, will try to hit the point after and pick up his 4th point of the day. Ball is on the tee. And there you see it, right through the uprights. So with 1:51 left to play in the third quarter, our score, Cedar Rapids LaSalle 10 and Sibley nothing. Ten to nothing ball game. LaSalle leading, trying to win this AA championship and end the season with a 10-2 record. As their kicking unit on the field, that's their fine kicker, Pat Loeffler, who has a field goal and a point after. To his credit thus far today. 1:51 remaining, and here's Loeffler as he approaches the ball. Sends it deep. That's Brody going back by the ball. and he'll fall on it in the end zone. So it'll come out as a touchback to the 20-yard line, and that's where the Generals will take over. And Mike, you're down 10-0. Sibley, a good passing football team. Obviously, they've tried to go to the run, maybe set things off balance, but I think as we're this late in the third quarter, you're down by 10. I look for this dome to be filled with a football right now.
I think they're going to have to. The running game has been working for them, but now they're relying too much on it, and LaSalle is kind of smelling it out, so they're going to have to try to mix it up the best they can. I know LaSalle knows they're a passing team. They'll be ready for the pass as well, but you have to mix up the offense now.
Let's see what Coach Dan Melbrecht has instructed his team. Coach Melbrecht has been in this situation before. He and the Sibley Generals won the title in 1978.
Dan Zank has not come back to play.
We saw him just a few moments ago on camera with the ice bag on his head. So that's who we looked at. And the officials with a timeout, and Sibley did call things a timeout. And as you mentioned, they're going to the backup quarterback now. That's got to hurt because Zank is the man who threw for over 1,400 yards in this season, in the regular season for the Generals. So you've got to go now to your backup situation. There's Tom Kopatich, the head man, pacing the sidelines for LaSalle. Young man who graduated from Drake University and, as we know, is the son-in-law of Jim Williams, who is a very famous Iowa high school coach at Dowling, now the #1 assistant for Donnie Duncan at Iowa State.
What's going to hurt the Generals, I think, as far as the passing game goes, is Terry Helliger, number 11. He's only a sophomore, and we don't know how much he's really thrown the ball this year or how good his arm is, because Zank is the main quarterback for them, and he may be untested for all we know at this point. And especially being in a state championship game as a sophomore, a lot of pressure on him, being only 15, 16 years old.
You bet there's plenty of pressure even if he was a senior and hasn't played a lot. And that's right. What a spot for a young man. But what an opportunity if he can get the ball club rolling. And many times his teammates will rise to the occasion to give him that extra support. Back, this is Hellinger, the sophomore, complete. To his fine receiver, John Krogman, that is. Krogman, they'll have to rely on him now, 6'1" senior.
Okay, Hellinger is in the shotgun. Doesn't look like he's nervous at all. Just unloads a nice pass, and Krogman is wide open and picks up 7 yards on the play.
So it's second down, 3 yards to go. Ball at the 27-yard line. Split receivers, everything flooded to the right side. Now they're going to put a man in motion right to left. Oh, bad snap and serious trouble, and they fall on the football. Let's see if Helliger was able to hold on. Big loss on the play, but they do retain possession of the ball back at about the 8-yard line.
We're going to look at it again. Before the snap, Helliger started to move back, started to backpedal before the ball was snapped. Thus, the ball did not get there. The center didn't see him go. He put the ball between his legs and not enough power on it to get it back while Helliger was backpedaling. So a big loss on the play.
Lancer fans, they're happy. Their team leading 10-0. Generals now third down and 22, deep in their own territory. Once again from the shotgun. Helliger steps into the end zone, throws it out, and it is overthrown. Tended out in the flat. The ball was overthrown, and now you've got a fourth down and 22, an obvious punting situation, and the punter's not going to have a great deal of room.
He's going to look for a heavy rush by LaSalle. Helliger back into the end zone. McCarty was the intended receiver, but he just overthrew him, and the ball ended up out of bounds. No way to complete that to McCarty the way the ball was thrown. But as we mentioned, Helliger is a sophomore, and I'm sure he's quite nervous.
Ken Hulls will punt from his own end zone. Deep receiver standing at about the 45, and there is Lewis. Oh, he pays the price there. Maybe wishes he would have called for the fair catch, as Derek Lewis really got popped just as he caught the ball, and they'll mark the line of scrimmage at the 44-yard line in Sibley territory. So again, the Lancers have excellent field position as Derek Lewis trots over to the Lancer sidelines.
With the punter in the end zone, I'm surprised that LaSalle didn't put a heavy rush on and try to block it. They tried to set up the return, but there was so much hang time on that punt that gave Sibley enough time to get down and make the tackle.
We may not see another play, and we will not in this third quarter as time now runs out. There is the end of the third quarter with the score in this AA championship game. Cedar Rapids LaSalle 10 and the Sibley Generals nothing. As we look at at the scoreboard here at the Unidome on the Northern Iowa campus. We're set for the fourth and final quarter of our AA championship game, and that's the Sibley cheering section, trying to shout out some encouragement to the Generals, the Lakes Conference champions, the AA state champs in 1978, and they're going to have a big fourth quarter because the Lancers with the ball lead it 10-0. Here's Bill Thompson. Gets a couple as he runs into the defenders. Brian Parrott, one of the men making the stop for Sibley. It'll be second down and 8.
Even though most of the Sibley people, when you get to a class like 2A, 1A, etc., they go both ways, but this defense has been on the field a long time the second half.
Ken Hartman, the center, leading the Lancers out of the huddle. And this is Chris Stark off the right side. Gets himself a couple. LaSalle would obviously be very happy, and Sibley thinks they're number one. Young faces, probably future Generals.
Chris Stark gets a handoff. He's slanting over to the right side. Not much running room in there as the defensive line does a good job on pulling him down. Kevin Wills in on the tackle.
Lancers in the huddle. Quarterback Mark Steffen, who has certainly been impressive this afternoon with his ability to run so well and always the threat to throw the ball. From the I formation, this is Steffen again, and there he goes. Good pickup. Gets the first down to the 30-yard line.
He was looking option play that time with the possible pitch out to either Stark or Thompson. Stark was the one that would get the ball because Thompson was leading the block. He found an opening, cut up between the left guard and the left tackle, and picked up the first down.
So with the ball at the 31-yard line in Sibley territory, the Lancers are set from the I formation. Ends in tight, and this is Stark. Big gain. He's thrown his feet at the 20. He could go. He's in, touchdown. 32-yard or 31-yard touchdown run for Chris Stark. And the celebration there for the Lancers.
Straight dive play over the right side. Ken Hartman, the center, and Todd Wessels, the right guard, just blew open a big hole. And once Stark got past the linebackers, he just cut back to the left side, and it was a foot race, and he outran the secondary in there for the 6 points.
Pat Loeffler, and look at those Lancer fans. Mighty happy now, leading 16-0. Ready for the point after. That's Darryl Schulte holding. Kick is up, and it is good. So our score is 17-0, and the Lancer fans, they're happy. 17-0 in this fourth quarter of football. And you know, Mike, it's conceivable, obviously now with 10:32 left to play in this game, and with Cedar Rapids Regis scheduled to play in the next game in the 3A title, the city of Cedar Rapids could have a double championship this year.
Both be Catholic schools, and it could be that if Regis and LaSalle win, that the 3 upper classes in the state championships this year will bring home state championships to the Catholic schools in their respective cities. It's kind of interesting.
Pat Loeffler getting ready to kick off. And the receiving team, as we look at the kickoff unit there for Cedar Rapids LaSalle, getting everything squared away. 17-0 football game. After the two teams really seesawed back and forth, it was a field goal of 32 yards with only 7 seconds left in the first half that gave the lead to the Lancers at 3-0. And the ball is in place. And now Loeffler directing his teammates where he wants them. Official checks the field. There's the whistle. And the kickoff. And it's fielded at the 10. Here's the return to the outside to about the 23-yard line. And the ball carrier carries that football out to the 24-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for Sibley. And that's Paul Tellen shaken up as he goes along the sidelines. He'll be checked out thoroughly. And there's the Sibley sidelines as we pick up action. 1st down and 10. Sibley with their young quarterback Pelliger now playing, and the handoff. And a short gain on the play to about the 21-yard line, or excuse me, going to go backwards a yard. Let's look at this one.
Okay, the pitch goes to McCarty. He takes it around the left side, and the middle guard, that's Jeff Eink. And boy, he was in there in a hurry, and he knocked him down for a loss of a yard.
Jeff Eink's had a fine afternoon.
That front part of that defensive line for LaSalle has Eink and the linebacker, Todd Wessel's excellent game, along with Jim Kramer.
2nd down and 11. Here's Helliger back to throw. Incomplete. Knocked down there on a good bit of defense that time by LaSalle's Mike Young. So it's 3rd and 11.
Helliger got a heavy rush from the blitzing linebacker. That was Jim Kramer, and Helliger just got the ball away as he was getting hit. There's Helliger looking for his receiver, and watch Kramer give him a hit, and it had a lot to do with that pass being incomplete.
There's the concern you just saw on that Sibley sideline. This late in the game, 9.5 minutes left to play, and you're down 17-0. Had the draw and didn't fool anybody. Loss on the play as Mike McCarty takes a pretty good pop that time, and he's shaking his head.
Take a look at it one more time here. Drop play. I believe that's Hughes and Gay, and right on top of him as he got the handoff, that was Jeff Eink.
Hi there, young'uns. Pretty good way to spend an afternoon. 4th down now for Sibley. And it'll be Ken Hulls called upon to punt from about his own 10. Oh, good looking spiral. Punts it back, and a fair catch being taken at the 37-yard line. Nice punt by Ken Hulls. 42-yard punt with no return. 8 minutes and 50 seconds left to play in this football game. 17-0 the score. LaSalle leading Sibley.
Just a lot of hang time on there, and the Sibley coverage was down there in a hurry, and that forced Lewis to call for the fair catch. But LaSalle has good field position nonetheless. They're at their own 37-yard line.
1st and 10. And here's Steffen as he hands off. Nothing going. The right side of that Sibley line. There to meet the runner. And that's Derek Lewis getting up.
Straight dive play once again. They take it to the left side this time, and there's no room at all for Lewis as the whole right side of that line, Amon and Kevin Wills are in there on the tackle.
2nd down play as the Sibley defense gets set. Steffen rolls to the right, faking up the middle, and he's in trouble, and will be sacked back at about the 34-yard line.
Once again, Wills and Amon in there on the tackle. Good pursuit by those 2 linemen on the left side. The tackle. It's the fake handoff to Lewis. It's the keeper going around the left side. He wants to sweep, but he gets that heavy pursuit from those 2 defensive linemen. Number 70, Kevin Wills. Number 76, the tackle, Kevin Amon.
3rd down and 13 for the Lancers. Bill Thompson, obviously an outstanding football player, but they just haven't had to use him as much. And there we have movement on the line. Looked like Sibley jumped unless they were drawn off.
That was the inside linebacker, Chad Ackerman. It looked as though he wanted the blitz coming right up the middle, and Steffen may have staggered his count a little bit and drew him offside.
So 5 free yards for the Lancers. Down remains 3rd. 7:39 left to play. Be 3rd down and 8 yards. So that loss just a couple of plays ago. They get it back with the offside penalty.
We're going to see LaSalle taking all the time they can in the huddle now. They just soon run that clock out, hang on to this lead.
Give off the right side and keeping it on the ground. Derek Lewis carried the ball. Going over the right side, following Todd Wessels and Jeff Eink. Making the stop for Sibley, Mike McCarty. It's now 4th down and 4.
There we go. Lewis, the handoff on the counter play, going over to the left side. He just gets past the line of scrimmage, and that forces those linebackers to come up and make that tackle.
Jim Stevenson is in to punt from his own 35. Gets off a low liner. Fair catch taken by Brady. And that was just like a line drive. No chance for the coverage to get down, but the fair catch was taken at the 27-yard line.
Looked like a rocket coming off the foot. Sibley has to move the ball now. I think they're going to have to put it in the air with just a little over 6.5 minutes to go here in the game. If they want to pull this one out, they're going to have to get into the end zone in a big hurry, and the only way to do that is to go through the air.
They've got to score 3 times, obviously, to stand a chance to win this football game. And with 6:48, you're right, Mike, they got to hope for something quick. Pitch out goes to the right side. Keep in mind their number 1 quarterback injured and has not played. And when they need him the most, unfortunately, he's on the sideline. So not to make excuses for Sibley, but it certainly is a big factor in this football game.
Hellinger pitches back to Husengay. It's a sweep to the right side. Good pursuit coming in there by the LaSalle secondary, or by the LaSalle defensive front end there, and that's Tom Mohet coming in to make the stop.
There was no gain on that play, so it's 2nd down and 10. And keep in mind the clock continues to run. 6:14 left in the ball game. And Sibley trailing by 17 points. Pass incomplete, almost picked off. And defending that time for LaSalle, knocking that ball down, number 27, and I don't see a 27 on my list. Here's a look again.
It's the pitch to Husengay on the option pass. The pass was intended for the tight end. That's Heinrich, and going back there to make the tip away for LaSalle, and we don't have him on our roster, number 27. So we'll just call him number 27.
6:07 left to play in this football game as we look at the line of scrimmage. And the Generals will run out of the shotgun formation. Putting a man in motion, low snap. Fielded, however, deep pass, incomplete, and the man was open. That was Husengay, who they were trying to get to, but Terry Hellinger, who did just a good job of scooping that ball up. And again, you'll have that problem when you've got the center and quarterback that change for one reason or another.
Gets a heavy rush once again and has to dump it off in a hurry. And I think it could have been an interception there by number 18, that's Jim O'Connell. He was closer than Husengay was to the ball.
Ken Hulls will have to punt again. Stands at his own 8-yard line. Gets a high punt. Again, a fair catch being called for and taken at the 46-yard line. Derek Lewis took the fair catch, and the Cedar Rapids LaSalle Lancers, the offensive unit, onto the field. They lead 17-0 with 5:57 remaining to play in this, the AA championship football game.
Watch for LaSalle now just to keep it on the ground. There's really no reason for them to pass. They would like to just run out the clock. I'm sure they're happy with the 17-0 lead with just under 6 minutes to go in the ball game. Excellent field position as well.
We saw Tom Kapatich there. He was walking the sideline, still very nervous. And there's the give up the middle, and that's Thompson. He's just like a tractor in low gear. He just keeps on plowing. Gets it into Sibley territory to the 48-yard line. 2nd down. 2nd and about 4.
As we said before, all Thompson has to do is just hit that hole, and he can carry the linebackers with him to pick it for the extra 2 or 3 yards.
Coaching staff along the sidelines for Sibley, and here we go on the 2nd down and 4 play. Quick opener off the left side. That's Thompson. Look at that. Using the one arm to balance himself. There is a flag down. One flag down at the line of scrimmage, but let's look at Bill Thompson again. Watch the way this young man runs.
He hits the hole once again, and great balance by Thompson. He just slides away from the defensive back there and picks up 5, 6, 7 yards on the play. No penalty. I think the flag just fell out of the official's pocket.
Didn't mean to drop it, so the run will hold for Bill Thompson. It's a 1st down for LaSalle. 5:21 left to play in the ball game. And the Lancers in the huddle. So we see the ball resting on the 36-yard line.
The straight dive play has been working well in the 2nd half for LaSalle, and I'm sure they're going to stick with him.
This is Derek Lewis inside the 30 to about the 29. Check it. It's Chris Stark. Lewis and Stark. Sounds like Lewis and Clark, the old expedition team, but that's Chris Stark.
They switch off back and forth at that tailback position. 33 and 32, sometimes they look an awful lot alike.
2nd down and 4. 17-0 football game. Cedar Rapids LaSalle. close to bringing home the 2A championship to LaSalle High School. Up the middle, and they're more than happy just to keep the ball on the ground, keep the clock running with 4.5 minutes left to play in this football game.
Sibley is going to have to start taking timeouts sooner or later. They only have 2 left, and that they were forced to take one early in the game, and that might be costly, being down 17-0 with the clock running and LaSalle driving.
Defense is ready now. Up to the line of scrimmage, the Lancers on 3rd down and 3. And there's Stephen. Boy, just faked to the first man through and then just fouled him. Made him, instead of a ball carrier, a blocker.
Bill Thompson, a man who Coach Tom Kapatic said would never, he didn't even think he'd play offense this year. Stephen fakes a handoff to him, and Thompson's a good blocking back as well as a running back, and all Stephen had to do was follow the block of Thompson to pick up the first down.
Ball at the 24-yard line. 1st and 10 for LaSalle, and they threaten again, leading 17-0. This is Stark. Got 1 yard maybe with his forward progress, then driven backwards. Let's check where they spot the ball. They'll take it up and spot the ball at the 21.
Stark takes it right up the middle, but he goes right into the arms of big Calvin Vandyhoof. Vandyhoof, 225 pounds, where Chris Stark is a 150-pound junior.
3:29 left to play in the game. Slot man is to the left. This is Thompson. He is fun to watch run. And with 3:13 left, let's pause for station identification.
KWWL-TV, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids.
3:08 remaining to play in this AA championship football game from the Unidome, and we've got the chain gang coming on for a measurement.
Mike, the interesting thing about Bill Thompson, he's not that big playing out of that fullback position. He's an even 6 foot, only 160 pounds, kind of tall and lanky. But he's strong in the legs, he can block, and he wasn't even supposed to play offense this year. Their #1 fullback, Andy McCowan, he got hurt early in the year, and they gave Thompson a shot, and he was just so determined to play that Tom Kapatic decided to go with him the rest of the way, and he's been a great back for them.
They counted down. There's the 3-minute mark, and that was a first down, so it's first down at the 14, and once again, power football right off the right side. This telecast is a presentation of the Iowa Television Network, with all rights for television owned by Carnaby Square Teleproductions. Any use of this telecast, either in whole or in part, live or delayed, without the written consent of Carnaby Square's teleproduction, is strictly prohibited. 2.5 minutes left to play in the ball game. 2nd down and 7 upcoming at the 11-yard line, and the Sibley cheerleaders down 17-0, but what an honor for a team just to get here. There's the give up the middle, and that's Stark carrying the ball to the 5-yard line.
Once again, Chris Stark, all he does is follow the block of Bill Thompson along with the pulling guard, and gets him up to the inside the 5-yard line, down to about the 4. Just shy of a first down by about a half yard.
3rd and 1, and there we check the injured Sibley player as they work on him right there, and that's Brian Parrott they're working on. Give goes in, touchdown. And it's Chris Stark, a running back that picks up 6 more points for LaSalle. That touchdown coming with 1:49. Let's look at it again.
Chris Stark, once again, he follows a block of Bill Thompson, and there's a big hole there, and he just runs right up the middle, daylight all the way. 6 more points for LaSalle, and I guess we're safe to say that that touchdown put this ball game away.
If it wasn't on ice, it is now, and you can tell the reaction of the LaSalle crowd. Pat Loeffler will try to kick another PAT. He's ready, the ball is up, and it is good. So it's a 23-0 football to make it 24 after the point after. 24-0 with 1:49 left to play, and Mike, you know, in a football game and in any sporting event, I guess in some football ranks, no winner is sometimes decided, but certainly here one is, and you have to have a winner and you have to have a loser, but nobody could really be called a loser when you make it this far. Whether it's Sibley that goes home second, golly, what an honor just to make it this far.
It sure is, and you know, the kids are playing their hearts out, but sometimes it's that state tournament nervousness, sometimes it's just the awesomeness of this building for a team coming in here that hasn't played in here before. LaSalle was in here the last game of the regular season for a game. They played in here last week in the semifinal round, so they're used to this turf, they're used to this facility, and sometimes that has a lot to do with it.
Minute 49 left, and Pat Loeffler will kick it off. The Lancers leading 24-0. Loeffler waits, now has the referee's okay, and here's the boot. Going deep. And here comes the return, right up the middle. And carrying the football on the return, that's Brody.
Not a bad return by Brody. They had the return right up the middle on, and gets them into pretty good field position up to the 29-yard line.
Again, we don't want to make excuses because I don't think that's fair, but it certainly is a fact that sports writers will write about, broadcasters will talk about, and that is that Dan Zenk did not play in the second half, and the young man that's had such a fine season, throwing the ball so well, and you put a young man, Terry Helliger, into a very difficult situation, and that certainly had to alter Coach Melbrecht's plans, obviously. Keeping it on the ground, going off the right side to about the 31-yard line, and now the big roar that you hear, the #1 unit for LaSalle is going off the field. Let's look at this play again.
Yeah, the handoff goes to Brody. He cuts, almost falls there as he makes his cut. And there it is, Dan Ank again making the tackle. Now Coach Tom Kapatic lets the reserves have some fun.
You bet. They're congratulating the #1 unit for a fine ball game this afternoon. Here's the give once again, and off the left side, very short yardage as the clock running with about 45 seconds left. Now the coach is really going to a lot of substitutions, and obviously the reason being all these young men can certainly say they got to play in a state championship game, and that's something that very few people can ever say. Sibley fans showing how much they've enjoyed their young men and the fine season they've had. And there we can see some of the Sibley reserves that are now in this football game. Clock continues to run with 20 seconds. The Generals are ready on 3rd down and 6. Helliger handing off. This is Brody. He's out to about the 39-yard line. And they'll count it down. They've stopped the clock at 9. Here we go again with Brody's run.
Brody takes the handoff, cuts to the outside when he finds the holes plugged over the over left tackle, and it's a pretty good gainer and a whole host of LaSalle tacklers in there on the play.
1st and 10 for Sibley at the Sibley 39-yard line. Give goes to the 45 and out to about the 48-yard line. That's the end of the football game. Cedar Rapids LaSalle. Cedar Rapids LaSalle has just captured the AA championship. The final score, LaSalle 24 and Sibley nothing.
Today, it's the best of the rest. It's the Iowa High School Football Championships live from the Unidome.
A 2A champion has been crowned here at the Unidome on the Northern Iowa campus as Cedar Rapids LaSalle this afternoon has defeated the Sibley Generals 24-0. And Mike, there probably were some surprises in that Sibley didn't throw as much. Keep in mind, though, that hurt when they lost that fine quarterback.
Dan Zenk, he played, I think, 2 plays the whole second half. He got hurt early, or I should say late in the first half, and they put Helliger in there. They put Zenk back in the second half, but he just couldn't handle it. He must have been racked up pretty bad. And when you put a lot of pressure on a sophomore quarterback that probably hasn't played a lot during the season, and especially in the championship game, it has to alter your attack, especially when you are a passing team.
The Sibley Generals, 2nd in the state. They are Lakes Conference champions this season. They've had a championship at that school, of course, before in 1978, and certainly a fine season. And now for Cedar Rapids LaSalle, they take the big trophy back to Cedar Rapids, and the LaSalle Lancers, the Class 2A,